Family, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Today is Wednesday. It is January 21st. I hope that you slept well. I hope that you entered this day with a lot of gratitude. And I promise you, today's show is going to be a banger, all right? I'm going to lead off today's show talking about the state of the program. I'm going to go talking about the identity, the coaching, the offense, the defense, the wins, the losses. I'm going to ask you some questions to ponder as we continue to go into the next season. And we'll kind of pause on the roster talk, and I think we'll probably pick that back up on today's show. But I think a state of the program is a good starting point going into this point of the month of January. We'll also look at the college football top 10 teams debate following Indiana's crazy run. There's a couple Alabama football teams that are in there. Fox Sports said these are the top teams in history. All right, I'm going to give you a tease. The best team from Alabama is 2020. Do you agree with that? Yes or no inside the comment box. Coaches are hitting the road, and I think this is interesting. So right here on the screen, Coach Kalen DeBoer is pictured with Moonshun Showtime Sales, a five-star prospect out of Indiana, class of 2027. So is high school recruiting still important? Well, him and the crew are in Indianapolis, so I think it tells you that. We're going to highlight Xavier Crowell, who was named Mr. Football. And get this. This is crazy. Could Alabama get back on basketball? Could they get back Charles Bediako this season? What? Maybe. It's a possibility. And then Duke football is suing its own quarterback, Darian Mensah. All that and more today on Wake Up Bama. Family, and as I always say, please hit the thumbs up. Let's get well over 500. I appreciate you guys doing that for me. I really, really do. It means so much to me, honestly, as well as our Wake Up Bama sponsors, all right? We got Nicholas Harden, Case Noodles, Lag Gaming, George Harden, Todd Hammer, and Brandon Lewis, all supporting Bama Football on YouTube, along with we have Sleeper, right? You get $20 when you just download the app, use the promo code, which is Tailgate, get a $100 deposit match, up to $100. And away we go with the show. Welcome to Wake Up Bama on Bama Football on YouTube. Okay, let's talk about the state of the program. And I talked a little bit about this on Tuesday's show, but I'm going to go over it again, and I'm going to go 1 through 10, okay? So we'll start out with the identity. And be thinking about, as I'm going over these characteristics, what's making your ears kind of perk up, right, when I talk about identity, okay? And let's start there. So what's the identity of this team? Seriously, you kind of step back and you're like, what is some of these questions are hard for me to answer, right? And I think if you're looking at Alabama right now, you're like, what is the identity? Is it a physical type team? Are they fast? Are they disciplined? Some people might say that they're soft. Do you feel that? Because I think a lot of people like to joke that it's like an ice cream soft team. Is that how Alabama is really viewed? Because it hasn't been like that all the time. And the biggest thing that I was thinking about, too, with identity is, are they a team right now that dictates games or is reactionary to games? And what I mean by that, are they controlling the game? Or are they out there kind of just reacting to, bigger opponents? Are teams more capable to get in the ring with Alabama? I think that what I've seen over the last 2 seasons, that teams are starting to talk more, right? Hey, we can match up with Alabama now. Transfer portal, more parity. They're not what they used to be, right? I don't know what the identity is, but I do feel that other teams feel that they can punch with Alabama. Am I right? I think that's how teams see it, but I don't know what the identity is of the team. All right, it all starts with coaching, right? And what's the vision from up top? And that's from Coach Kalen DeBoer going into year 3. This is a pivotal year, as we always say, because it's mostly his guys. There's a couple guys left over that were here when Saban was here, but 90%, 95% of the guys are all Coach Kalen DeBoer, including his coaches. The only coaches are Gillespie, Roach, and then David Ballou and Jeff Allen. But outside of that, it's his entire program. So what's the clear vision? Right? What is the vision? I think in the past it was kind of, pride and performance, the process. What's the vision right now? And why is that hard for us to figure out? Why? Is it tied to the identity? Why are we having trouble with that? Or at least I am. But I will say this. There's a lot of staff continuity. And I know you want some coaches to be change, let go, whatever it is. A lot of these coaches have been together for now going into 3 years, some of them 2 years on the staff. He adds Derek Nix. You lose Shepard. You lose Sheridan. But a lot of guys have been here since the start, right? Which I like continuity. I think the coaches like that. I think the players like that. Right? Mo Lindquist is going on his third season. Kane Womack going on his third season. Ryan Grubb going on his second season, right? Freddie Roach, his sixth season. Robert Gillespie, his sixth season. Christian Robinson, his third season. Chuck Morrell, right? His third season. So it is interesting to think about from a continuity standpoint. And I think also with coaching is like, how are the in-game adjustments? I think that's always part of like state of the program. Like, what did we see from the team in the second half? Do you feel that looking back at this team and looking back on kind of the coaching staff, how do you feel they make second half adjustments? It's something to think about for sure. We've seen times where they've made adjustments. I think year over year, they probably got better in that category. Point number 3 on talking about state of the program, the offense. Does the scheme fit the personnel? And I don't know. You're like, what scheme? Like, the scheme was all over the place. But let me ask you this. Are things going to drastically change this year now that you have Austin Mack or Keelan Russell leading the squad? Like, that's what I'm saying. Scheme to fit the personnel. Are these quarterbacks designed schematically to fit the system that Grubb wants to run? Does that make a big difference? Maybe so. And then another thing is like quarterback development. Now Grubb's been with these guys for about a year, right? How have these quarterbacks developed? Are they ready to go? Like if we had a game on Saturday, where would we see them? I'm not going to lie. I did like some of the things that Austin Mack did against Indiana, but it wasn't a large volume. I liked what Keelan Russell did when he got in, but it's not a large volume. But I would imagine that those guys are certainly trending upward, and they'll be ready to go come September. They better be, right? And I think the biggest thing with the offense is the number one thing is the elephant in the room. Is the run game identity. There was none. They had zero run game. All the teams that are in the finals, the 2 teams that were in the finals, the teams that were in the semifinals, all of them were able to run the ball effectively. Alabama didn't even sniff that. Okay? They have to improve on that area within the offensive set. Now, I do have to admit there was some things in the red zone this past year that I did like. And some of the fourth down calls, outside of a couple of them that just made my blood boil, I actually liked them. Okay? So get away from kind of the gadgetry, ground and pound, more physical. And that doesn't mean going more physical. That doesn't mean neglecting the pass game at all. It means it'll open it up, if anything. I think on the defensive side, when you look at state of the program, the defense took the biggest jump forward. Okay. The secondary was elite. They should be whatever's past elite this year. Can they continue to stop chunk yardage plays? Can they continue to stop quarterbacks that run? Can they play well on the road? Can they make plays at the right time? Because the defense made fantastic. Think back to this past season. How many times did the defense just come up with like a remarkable play when something was needed? A lot. The only criticism and the thing that we have to see from the defense is more pass rush. Whatever Miami was doing, can you do that? Do we have guys to do that? Do we have the mentality to do that? We've added guys there. Can we coach them up to be like that? Is that part of the plan? Do we want to make quarterbacks uncomfortable? We need to. We definitely need to. That has to be part of the next phase of the defense. I think when you look to wins and losses by this staff and under Coach Kalen DeBoer, what wins stand out to you over the last, the 20 wins that Kalen DeBoer has? What wins really stand out to you? I think for me, the 2 wins over Georgia, right? Beating Kirby Smart head-to-head in monumental games. I get it. You lost the SEC championship game. It's hard to beat Kirby 3 times in a row. The team was banged up at that point in time. They always seem to be banged up when they play Georgia, in Atlanta. But, those 2 games were monumental. Other ones, the comeback win against Oklahoma, I thought that was really impressive. This last win against Auburn, when things are really on the line, that stands out to me as well, right? They played really well at home. They improved playing on the road significantly, right? But I think some of the nature of the losses have really affected the fans, right? Like, you see 11-4 and you're like, okay, yeah, we can get, that's improvement. But what supersedes that is the way that they lost to Indiana, the way that they lost to Florida State, right? The Oklahoma one, I mean, I would say fans might give them some grace because Alabama beat Alabama. Indiana mopped the floor with them. Florida State outcoached them. Georgia beat them up because they were banged up. But it's kind of like the nature of the loss. Even that Vanderbilt 2 seasons ago, that game was the nature of that game, right? They were number 1 in the country. They went in. They looked underprepared. Do you see what I'm saying? The Michigan loss in the whatever it was, ReliaQuest Bowl, the nature of the loss, I think, has really impacted how fans view the staff. Am I right? Because I think fans are smart enough to know they're like, oh, man, they kicked a 60-yard field goal. You know, it doinked off a guy's helmet, and someone caught it, and he ran in the end zone. All right, man, crap. No. Like, those losses have been specific reasons connected to the staff. Okay? Was it a progressional step forward from the first year to the second year? Absolutely. Okay? I'm going to die on that hill. Yes, you did. They took a big step forward, and a lot of it was because of the defense. Special teams may be the same. I'm going to say this. The quarterback play did take a step forward. Okay? It was just the running game was just non-existent. Okay? All right. Couple more points in state of the program. All right? Point number 6, high school recruiting. How has that been with the staff? It's been great. And those are your foundational pieces. And I'm still trying to figure out how to build the perfect roster. We're in a completely new world, and the guys are still recruiting 2027, by the way. I mean, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But how have guys still wanted to come here? Yes. Has Alabama landed some big-time, prospects at all positions? Yeah, for the most part, for sure. The 2 top 5 classes within the last 2 years, that's outstanding. The recruiting never dropped off under Coach Kalen DeBoer. Hats off to him. Hats off to the staff. Hats off to Courtney Morgan, okay? I think if you look to how they're developing the guys, I think they have been, right? Skill position players, I think, have taken steps forward, at least on the defensive side. Now we need to see kind of the offense in the developmental phase take a big step forward. We need, like, Ryan Williams. We need him to step up. We need those wide receivers to become kind of rideouts, NFL-type guys. We need the running backs to get faster, to become the running backs we think they can be. We need Austin McKeely. You see what I'm saying? It seems like more of the developmental pieces are on the offensive side to me. The transfer portal. How have they worked the portal? Well, I think the initial crew that they got in, they did a really good job. I mean, think about the transfer portal players in the first class, right? Jeremy Bernard, Graham Nicholson, the kicker, Parker Brailsford. I think Austin Mack transferred over here, right? He's still here. Gino Vandermark. Did I mention Josh Cuevas? Keon Sabb. I would say that they did a pretty good job in the transfer portal, right? This last class, you're still trying to see how they kind of fit into the program. And then this most recent crew, like the later guys that were just here for one season, like Cam Dewberry was here for 1 year. I'm trying to think of the other guys that were just here for like 1 year and then dipped out. There's been a couple misses, but I think they've done okay in the transfer portal. And now I think this is their biggest transfer portal class, right? And how will those guys fare in the field? I mean, we're excited about them, but we're not going to know if they can be kind of those Jeremy Bernard, Josh Cuevas pieces until we actually start playing. I mean, we just can't. We can say, yeah, they look great. They pass the eyeball test. They fit the needs, but we don't know. But the track record shows that the staff has done a good job recruiting, and they've done a good job in the transfer portal. It's been more hits than misses. Okay, how about this? For the transfer portal, has there been more hits or more misses? I would say more hits 100% in the transfer portal. And that goes on evaluations, okay? A new item for the state of the program is retention. This year was your biggest year of retention. And how would you say that they did on retention on a scale of 1 to 10? I would say 7.5, maybe 8. You lost some guys for sure. I think the Jordan Renaud one hurt. Keelan Russell, James Smith, Quay Rusaw, maybe another guy like a Noah Carter for a developmental piece. Mostly defensive guys, but they retain great guys. And retention isn't exciting to talk about, but it's important to talk about because retention matters when you're getting really good experienced players that already have the buy-in mentality and they want to be here. They understand what it is to play on Saturday at Tuscaloosa, right at Bryant-Denny Stadium, Nick Saban Field. They understand that. They understand what it's like and the opportunity that it brings to be able to play with the script day, right? Those retention guys are huge. So I would say that this is really kind of the first year of retention being like a category because this is the first year you're like re-signing guys, which is still crazy, but they re-signed the right guys. And I think that provides a lot of locker room stability. Would you agree? There's a lot of guys that are new to the program, but when they see locker room stability, I think it's easy to kind of build the culture a little bit better with new players and guys that are already here because they help set kind of the standard, right? Man, that's got to be tough. Think about all the new guys coming in, all the retention guys, all the recruits. Was there like 40 guys coming in that are new? That's crazy. 2 more categories, state of the program. Is Alabama still viewed as the program that is just pumping into the NFL? Because you watch the NFL right now, it's crazy. Every single team, for the most part, has somebody from Bama and like a star from Bama. Is that the same thing? How many guys are we going to send to the NFL this year from Bama in the first round? Like 2? And then overall in the draft, like what? 6 to 8 probably? It seemed like that for a while we were just sending out first round guys. Like 6 was like the norm, right? Is Alabama still viewed that way by NFL scouts? Is it still a place that just screams development that you have to go to get the top guys? Because that's why people want to come here in the first place, right? Because I think Sundays clearly tell what's happening on Saturdays. You're like, oh, look, there's Minkah Fitzpatrick. There's Jalen Waddle, right? There's Brian Robinson Jr. There's Mac Jones. There's Bryce Young. I mean, pick your team, right? By the way, who would you say are like the top 3 guys in the NFL that are from Bama right now? List them inside the comment box. Your top 3 guys in the NFL that are from Bama. And Derrick Henry's clearly got to be one of them. But who are the other ones? Man, that's tough. If you ask me on the spot, I'd be sweating. There's so many. That's a good one. Okay. And then I think number 10, like state of the program, is like, what's the trajectory? Period. You're either going up or down. I don't think you're flatlining in football. You're either getting better or worse. I would say right now the trajectory is up. You're like, what? No, it's not. Yeah, it is. The trajectory is up. They won more games than the year before, right? So I think when you look at it overall, I would say you're taking steps forward as a program, okay? And that's kind of the state of the program. Think about it. Let me know what you think inside the comment box, okay? Next up, Fox Sports released its top 10 teams in the college football playoff area, okay? I'll run through it kind of 1 through 10 real quick. All right, number 1, 2019 LSU. There's always a debate about that LSU team versus like 2020 Alabama. But now sliding in at number 2 is 2025 Indiana. Oh, man, you know, I do think that this Indiana team is one of the better teams, clearly, right? They were so complete on each side of the ball, and I love the way that they ran the ball. I love the way that they had a great defensive front. They had great defensive linemen. They had a Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback. Do you think that this Indiana team was one of the best? I mean, look what they did. They were a buzzsaw, right? So 2019 LSU, 2025 Indiana, 2020 Alabama, Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith. That team was nasty. All COVID. That was COVID too. That was all SEC schedule, right? 2018 Clemson comes in at number 4. That was the year Tua lost to Trevor Lawrence out there in Santa Clara. I was at that game. That was crazy. That was a beatdown for sure. All right, number 5, 2022 Georgia, right? Stetson Bennett. He won 2 titles with Georgia, which is crazy. Number 6, 2021 Georgia, when they beat Bama, right? Number 7, 2023 Michigan, when they beat Bama. I guess if you're a great team if you beat Bama, evidently, right? Because 2019 did, 2025 Indiana did, right? 2018 Clemson did. Number 8, 2017 Alabama. I would say, I don't know how I feel about this. Okay, that was a good team. I think there's other Bama teams that were better than that. Or I think there was other, well, this is the college football playoff era, though. I don't know. That team was good. What do you guys think? And then it goes back to 2015 with Coker. And then number 9 is 2014 Ohio State. 2017 was good. I don't think they were great, though. I think like that 2020 team would do nasty work on them. I don't know. Let me know what you think inside the comment box. Okay, coaches on the road. So we were kind of wondering, as we talked about roster management, how important is like 2027 recruiting, 2028 recruiting? Is it still a thing? Well, the coaches right here, they flew out to Indianapolis, Indiana to meet with 5-star Manshun Showtime Sales. All right, a 5-star out of all places in the world, Indianapolis, Indiana. Right, a 5-star. So Courtney Morgan was also in this picture, and so was Derek Nix. So it tells you it's very important. The guys are going out, and I think I can't wait to see the recruiting strategy. Are we going all in on all these 5-stars like Bama usually does? Are we getting some under the radar type guys? Like how are they doing this? But clearly 2027 recruiting is, off to a good start. Coach Kalen DeBoer, making the rounds, and we'll see what happens. But I think it is interesting. It's like, where do you allocate that type of money, or do you just get more money? You're like, okay, we need more money for everything, right? We need more money for this, for that, and for this. And this is recruiting, this is retention, and this is transfer portal. We need as much money as possible. We need it all. Speaking of having it all, how about Xavier Crowell winning Mr. Football? I mean, duh, right? You want to see this kid play this year. You know it, okay? Past year, 2,600 yards, 35 touchdowns. He had 304 yards in the state championship game and 5 touchdowns. Crowell is a menace. I can't even imagine. And the crazy thing is, he should still be in high school, right? He's one of those guys who reclassified. Where are these guys coming from, man? It is just unbelievable. And do you think, fam, do you think that he'll play this year, like legitimate? What I mean by play, he's going to, of course, play in some games. But, like, do you think he's going to get meaningful snaps this year? Or do you think kind of, where he's at in the depth chart, maybe it'll take him some time? He certainly passes the eyeball test. I mean, our expectations for freshmen are like, we need that dude playing right now. Is this a case where it's like, that's going to happen? How crazy would it be if he's like, if we go into the first game and this is the guy like starting? I don't know. I feel like you got like A.K. Deere, Kevin Riley, Daniel Hill, right? Those guys are going to kind of be, up there. And then Crowell will maybe get some, I don't know. But what if Crowell just kind of becomes the man? Who knows? Be interesting to watch. So, Heisman Trophy, or the Heisman Trophy, maybe future. Mr. Football is Xavier Crowell. Love to see it. All right, this story is basketball related, okay? Basketball fans, ears up. This is crazy. This could be a game changer for Alabama basketball, okay? Remember the name Charles Bediako. I often think about Bediako, and I'm like, damn, Nate Oates, we need a big man. And before Nate Oates started turning up things, he had a big man, and it was Charles Bediako. And Bediako left, and he played here from 2021 to 2023, right? He was all SEC on, defense, right? He's 7 foot. He's 224 pounds. Doesn't that seem like the perfect guy we've been needing? So he declared for the NBA draft, 2 years of eligibility remaining, but he went undrafted in 2023. He's never played with an NBA team, right? He's played in the NBA G League, spending time with Austin Spurs, Grand Rapids, the Gold, and the Motor City Cruise, right? That's where he's at right now. So in recent court findings obtained by AL.com, he's trying to argue that he should come back to college basketball for this season. Like this season. So he would just jump in if the NCAA, if he wins this against NCAA, and he's saying that it'll do irreparable harm to him if he's not allowed to join immediately. So Bediako's already enrolled at the University of Alabama for the spring semester, and we'll see what happens. Okay, there's been some other cases where the NCAA has granted these players to be eligible. Man, if I'm telling you, if Alabama gets Bediako, they just become way better. I mean, way better. Maybe instant, like, contenders, okay? Because when I watch them, I watch them against Purdue. I watch them against Arizona. Those teams beat them because their big men are so much better. Yo, Bediako in here, and the way that Aiden Sherrell is playing, now you got two legitimate bigs, and the way that those guards are playing, Phylon, Holloway, right, and a mix and match of some of those other guys, whoa. I'm telling you, they'll shoot up immediately to like a top 5 team. Title contender if Bediako can get this cleared. So keep your heads on a swivel. We'll cover it because that's monumental. All right, before we get to the call-in portion of this podcast, more NCAA craziness. NCAA is just crazy. It's like the WWF, right? The headlines are nuts. How about this one? Duke is suing their own quarterback, Darian Mensah, right? So Mensah signed a deal with Duke. NIL, Duke owns all his, he has all the exclusive stuff goes to Duke. He signed the paperwork, and then Miami was like, yo, we'll give you $10 million to come over here. So he's like, thought about it, and even though I signed the contract, I'm going to Miami. And Duke is like, well, see this paperwork? We signed a deal, okay? And if you break the deal, like in the real world, we're suing you. So they're suing him, and I don't know what's going to happen. And what does Miami do? They just turn around, and who do they get? Who do they buy? That's going to be crazy. What is happening right now in college athletics is just mind-blowing. Look at the two last headlines I spoke to you about. Charles Bediako is in the G League, wants to come back to NCAA, and then Duke's quarterback wants to go somewhere else, but Duke is suing their own. And imagine when Duke's going to win this probably, right? It's a signed contract. Imagine that awkward first day at practice. That's going to be weird in the locker room. All right, coming up next, the call-in portion of Bama Football on YouTube. Fam, I appreciate you guys. Let's get this over to 500 likes. More than that, let's take it as high as we can go. I hope you have an amazing Wednesday. I'll catch you live at 10 right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Coming up next, the call-in portion of Bama Football on YouTube starts right now.
Good morning, Kyle. I wish you would step back from the ledge, my friend. That's a song, by the way. But, hey, dude, this is what gets me, Kyle, right? Good morning. Good morning, you, and good morning, everybody out there in Bama Nation. First of all, congrats to Indiana. Congrats to Indiana. Miami had a chance to win the big game in the biggest of stages in their home stadium and still couldn't get it done. And the reason why, because Indiana's a better team. I mean, that's just what I saw, dude. So I'm far from being a Hoosier fan, but I say congratulations to Indiana. They had a great year. And that's proof in my book, Kyle, how upside down, if for lack of better words, college football is right now when Indiana, historically the worst team, 2 or 3 years into the NIL trend, now they're the best team in college football. And that just shows you how upside down college football is right now. But, me anyway, but just to answer your question about team identity, who knows, dude? I mean, what I mean by that is that as much roster attrition that we get to the NFL, to the transport portal, I think every year a team finds a new identity, and hopefully it's a good identity. But as far as what team we got, nobody really knows until about 3 or 4 games into the season, dude. That's just how college football is nowadays. It's just I expected to have Keelan Keeley back. I expected to have this James Smith. I expected to have some of these good players back that we don't have anymore. So we're not going to know till beginning of next year and first few games what kind of identity we have. But here's what I got to tell everybody, man. It's a complete new day. But dude, we didn't. I mean, what gets me, a lot of Bama fans, I mean, think the world is ending. I know the standard is the national. I know what the standard is. Yep. But, dude, we did not have a disastrous year. We didn't go 0-14. We finished number 1 in the SEC. I can preach it all day. So the world is not ending. But like I say, Kyle, just eat the way college football. The short answer to your questions about this team, dude, we don't know. We don't know until the season starts and we see what we got 3 or 4 games in. That's where we're going to find out what our identity is, dude. That's the state of college football right now, man.
Yeah, okay. Appreciate it, man. Always good to hear from you, Mike. Thank you so much for calling in, man. And we'll catch up with you next time, man. Thanks for the call.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, I like the whole ranking stuff. I said earlier in the show, I don't think you should rank the teams until they play like 8 games. Remember, like, how all the rankings were out? Remember last year, or this, like, I guess the 2025 season, Illinois at one point was ranked like 8. Do you remember this? I watched them play, like, I watched them play Duke, and I was like, this team's 8? I was like, this team's trash. All right, 901.
How's it going, Kyle? This is Jarvis from Houston.
Jarvis, what's up, dog? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good this morning. Blessed this morning, man. And I just want to piggyback off the 2 other callers. I need my Alabama fans to remember. I need them to get an understanding. You're going to hear from me first, Kyle. What the Indiana coach has done, he has gotten a bunch of experienced players. Yes, the average team age of this team is 23, okay? But those guys have been in college football system, meaning weight room. Mm-hmm. When it comes to their dieting, they understand the structure of college football.
Yeah.
So when you have players, whether they be 2, 3 stars, 4 stars, when they're already acclimated to the college football standards, and you got a culture like their coach, they're easy to get into the system to where they are able to adapt. They already been through that stage of the freshman year.
Yeah.
They already got 3 years involved into it.
Yeah.
So you got a semi-pro team that's playing against players that's maybe been freshmen, sophomores from the high school rankings, okay? So that being said, what we just witnessed, this probably will never happen again, because you want to know why? The big dogs is coming now. If you look at the transfer portal, they're going out the players. They say, you know what, we're seeing where the college football world is going now. Mm-hmm. So you know what, we're gonna put our money aside to getting players in the portal now. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna hurt the high school recruiting. Not only that, what they're gonna do about the NFL when you got players coming in. NFL, back in the day, players going to the NFL, 20 years old, 21. Now you got 24, 25, 26-year-olds, kids going to the NFL draft. What's going to happen to the NFL level, okay? That's what I'm looking at now. So what we're looking at, I need my Alabama fans to understand. Retention, as far as we keeping players, we have a good system. We have a good coach. Just trust him. Mm-hmm. He's bringing in the players that fit his scheme as far as the board. He's bringing in the players that he wants to run his offensive line, quarterback. He has the players, okay? Let this man do what he needs to do. Give him time. It was a great season. Why our fans is so upset that I understand. I was frustrated the whole season that it was up and down, up and down. But that's what you call when you're going through a transition stage from Nick Saban to DeBoer, but DeBoer got a proven record. I know he was over there at Washington, but he was able to develop those players. But those players were his players. Those players would fit his scheme. Mm-hmm. Now he got the players. Let's see what he give him time. Let's see what he do this next year up and coming. Y'all give him time. I think we're going to have a great season coming in. Even though we young on the offensive line, we're returning, 6, 7 players on the defense, something like that. And offense, maybe 2 players, 3 players with far as playing experience. Yeah, we're going to have a young team. But I think the upside is up, So that's what I'm looking at. But as far as when it comes to the new age or era of football, it's semi-pro. But this is what I want to ask my Alabama fans. Even though Indiana won the national championship, how long can you sustain getting players, a new team every year out of the portal? How long can that sustain? Alabama going to be able to sustain because we're able to recruit. As long as we keep our trajectory going up as far as developing players, this is what we're going to see this year coming. If we're able to project that, we're going to be able to sustain recruiting as far as from the high school rankings. So it's all about how can you sustain as far as recruiting. So in the portal, yeah, we're in the portal age, but how long will that last? You having a lot of players that's leaving because a lot of these players, they're only there for 1 year.
Mm.
So how long can you withstand that? So how long can that sustain that level of competitiveness? Because when you bring in new players, it's a new team every year, new dynamic every year. So that's why I look at it.
Good call, Jarvis. I appreciate it, man. Always spitting facts, man. Thanks for the comments inside the comment box and all your support, bro. Always good to hear from you, man. Loving the 901 calls in, man. Call back in more. Appreciate it, bro.
Okay.
All right, take it easy. Yeah. That's Jarvis. You know him as 251 inside the comment box. Speaking some truth. I like what Jarvis is saying, and it made my ears perk up when he's talking about, like, I'm so interested. Let's say I don't know. I have to look at it. Does anybody know off the top of my head how many guys are leaving from Indiana? Is like everybody leaving? What if they're able to just live off the transfer portal? I don't think that's sustainable. I think there has to be like a balance of the retention, transfer, like kind of what Alabama did. You can't tell me you can just like go out in the transfer portal and have like a new transfer portal, team every single year and continue to have that same level of success. But he also brought up a really good point about now the big dogs know that that's a method where you can win is by getting these older players. So you see what other teams are doing in the portal, right? Indiana was just really smart. It was like, you know what Indiana did? You ever seen that movie Moneyball where they had that Excel spreadsheet and they just basically went off like statistics and kind of things that made sense? I think that's what Indiana did, but on the football side of things, right? I don't know if that'll ever be duplicated. 260. Hey, welcome.
Hey, Kyle.
What's going on? Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
This is Jackson calling in from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Jackson, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in from Fort Wayne. Come with it, man.
Well, let me tell you, first I'll just touch on the game last night. Miami had the talent to win everywhere but the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I've never been sold on light bulb head. I can't even think of his name.
Carson Beck.
But yeah, he looked just not even in sync. He just looks like he's out there in a dreamland, And they overpaid for a quarterback, so you can't always depend on this portal. They swung and missed with Beck. And Indiana, God, I'm so glad it's over because if I have to see Fernando Mendoza cry one more time, I'm going to kick my TV in. That's the biggest ball baby I've ever seen. But real quick on Alabama, the thing that I would like to see DeBoer, and yeah, I was ready to fire him after the FSU game. I was mad because you had this whole offseason to get everything corrected, and you came out flat. And I get it now that I kind of step back and look at it. That was Gus Malzahn with a freak athlete at quarterback that was built to beat Alabama. I mean, they didn't do anything after that, really. And but the one knock I still have on DeBoer is he seems hesitant to make a change when a change is necessary. We saw it with Milroe when Milroe fell off last year. he wouldn't pull him.
Yeah.
We say if Ty is losing production or he's injured, he wouldn't pull him. And he kind of was hesitant to make a change at the running back. I mean, why not throw A.K. Deer in there if everybody is beat up or broken? You know, and that's kind of got me nervous about this coaching staff. You know, he's loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to cost him his job, because as mad as you may get at DeBoer, there's really no other proven coach out there to replace him with. So we're kind of ride or die with DeBoer right now. And I'm behind him, but sometimes you see him on the sidelines and he looks like they're speaking Greek into his headset, like he don't even know where he's at.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you bring up a good point, because I think a lot of people, like, his approval rating is actually high, but it's some of it. What we're seeing right now is kind of the scheme and some of the coaching staff that's under him. People want that change. I think people want that change more than a different head coach, right? I think that's clear as day. Right. I think we're like, yeah, DeBoer is great, but we need some other components to kind of step up to where we need to go, because the offense just isn't it. And people are fed up and with kind of where we're at from an offensive line standpoint, and then the offense just wasn't it. But I don't think there's a lot of people calling for DeBoer, although I did see an article today by ESPN that said he's entering the season on a hot seat. I don't know if I agree with that or not. I mean,
I kind of look at it like, was there some improvement? There was some improvement, but it seems to me like year 1 and 2 were almost equal. I mean, we had a couple of more losses. I mean, we had the same amount of losses and a couple more wins. What the biggest thing for me is DeBoer is when he wins, it's a close game, but some of them, when he loses, we're getting our teeth kicked in on some of the losses. You know, and it's like, what needs to change? You know, I understand. Look, dude, Kyle, I'm 55. I can remember Bear Bryant games. My first Alabama game was a Bear Bryant game, and we've been through tough times before, and I don't expect DeBoer to be Saban. But I think a lot of people, though, that remember when Saban left LSU, there was so much talent on that team that Les Miles won a national title in 2 years. So I think a lot of people were going, well, heck, DeBoer's going to come right in, and he's going to win a national title because of all the talent Saban left. You know, and it's kind of like it didn't happen. And is that – I mean, I've heard some people say, well, a lot of people – some of the players they feel weren't buying into DeBoer, so they kind of quit on him. And maybe that's why a lot of these guys are jumping in the portal, because they were Saban guys that don't want to play for DeBoer or are not buying into his system, you know. But I would just like to see him be a little bit more assertive. And he did get fired up a few games. And he started to change his mindset, you know, being a little bit more aggressive, a little bit, you know. I know people make fun of him for punching them, but I liked it when he came up and was firing the team up.
Me too.
You know,
Me too.
He was changing. He was becoming more of an SEC-type coach.
Yes.
But the thing that just sticks in my craw, Kyle, is the improvement of the Seahawks after Grubb left.
I know.
And that's the kind of thing that bothers me.
Yep.
Is Grubbs really that good of a coach? Because even his what was it, Shanahan, or not Shanahan, who was the coach that was kind of talking? He didn't mention Grubb, but he was saying that
it was Mike. It was Mike McDonald.
Yeah, Grubb is just calling plays without any rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
Like he almost doesn't know why the play worked, why he called the play in the first place.
Crazy soundbite, for sure.
And like you said yesterday, these fluke trick plays, scrap that, man. It's okay if you want to have 3 a season.
Yeah.
But to be trying all this, and I don't know. I'm still behind them, though. I've got a lot of hope. This past week in the portal has really, like, solidified my confidence in him. And, you know, somebody said that maybe Saban cashed a check, you know. Maybe Saban wrote a check to start getting some of these players.
That's what I said. I was like,
he's got the money.
I was like, it's nice to have a rich grandpa, right? I mean, He just
Right.
like
I mean, if Mark Cuban can write a check, get Saban to write a check.
100%.
I know
Yeah.
he's not Mark Cuban, but he's got some money.
You're like, hey, Saban, could you sell a couple Ferraris in Monaco? Yeah, hold on
And-
1 second.
Yeah, hey, why not? If like Texas has all these Lamborghini deals, why not Saban throw some Mercedes the players' way? You know?
All right, good call, Jackson. I appreciate it, man.
All right, brother. Love the show.
Yeah, take it easy, bro. Jackson calling in from up in Indiana. Hey, fam, what about this schedule right here? Is this? I mean, we like this. 5-0. I mean, it definitely seems manageable, right? I mean, let's look at this real quick. Okay, Eastern Carolina, come on. Home game, come out. Kentucky, got Kentucky. Come on. Florida State, they got Ashton Daniels, right? It'll be a challenge, of course. South Carolina, that game's here. The North Sellers comes back. It'll be a tough game for sure, 100%. But I mean, you got to be Alabama's going to be the favorite in the first 5 games, 1,000,000%. And then you go to Stark Vegas, right? I don't know. I really like this first half of the season. The biggest thing is you don't have you avoid slip ups and injuries, because as we get going, this next part right here, it gets pretty bumpy. I mean, look at the first 5 and the next 5. This is crazy. Georgia, Tennessee, or at Tennessee, Texas A&M, open week at LSU. I don't know what Vanderbilt has coming back, but I'd imagine there's, they'll still be a little bit good, right? These next 5 is crazy. And there's the only bye that you have. You only have 1 open week this year. Did y'all like having 2 open weeks? Did it help from a health standpoint? It seems like Bama was a little bit banged up towards the back of the year. All right, let's go out to Steve in Powder Springs. Steve, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Cal? I'm good. How you, brother?
Yeah, good to hear from you, bro. Come with it, man.
And you as well, man. I just want to say, first off, thank God for you, because you're doing some good things on your program every time you mention him. So that's a plus for you, man. I just want to say thank you for that, and keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. Welcome,
all right.
Yeah, welcome to the show, man. Go ahead.
First thing I want to ask you is, are you at any of the practices during the off season and stuff?
No. No.
Okay.
The way that Alabama handles that for media, like in this current point in time, there used to be a time where I would go to like the practices that were allotted for the media. I've been very open with you guys that, now that I just cover YouTube, I'm just pretty much more here. But the reporters, when they do go to practice, they're only allowed to see individual periods for like 8 to 10 minutes. So sometimes you can see some stuff, but it's just kind of like it's a little bit more than warm-ups, but you can see like the running backs going through rotation, but it depends on where the guys are at. Like sometimes they might have quarterbacks way down like 200 yards. They might have like the wolf position right in front of you. They'll have and it's always like systematic. So you kind of know, unless they're indoor where you're a little bit closer to the action, but it just like to be forthright, no, not at this point in time.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right. My next question is, do you think that Coach DeBoer would do anything like Coach Saban used to do and get the scouts to grade his guys with the NFL pro scouts coming in and giving them their pro focus grade to see how well they're doing, and that helps him, help them get up to a higher level of skill? Because I don't know, like I said the last time I called, I don't really know if Coach DeBoer is using Coach Saban as far as his wisdom. And I know Coach Saban, I had heard him one time say that he asked the scouts to grade his guys, and that was a coaching tool that he used. And I didn't know, I didn't know if Coach DeBoer did anything like that. I think that's a great thing to do, especially when you got guys today. They're playing college football to try to go to the NFL.
Mhm.
So, that was that. And then the other thing I wanted to say was high schoolers. I see the way all of this NIL stuff is going and college is becoming the NFL light. I think a lot of times, well, in my mind, I see high schoolers now, maybe if they're not ranked, real heavy 5 stars like EJ Crowell and some of the other ones and stuff, that they may just take a route that takes them through JUCO or, smaller schools and to get some time in and some experience and then hit the transfer portal as an unknown, for a large part, and then be very valuable as an asset to a major school. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say that was going to be the end for me.
Okay.
You have a blessed day and roll tide.
All right, man. Take it easy, Steve. I appreciate you calling out from Powder Springs, bro. So, right now, it's really interesting, the recruiting process, and I'm kind of curious to see how, what happens going forward, because coaches are on the road right now recruiting 2027, 2028 guys, and I wonder, what the strategy is in terms of kind of pressing on that in kind of this new world of transfer portal and kind of where we're at. And I'm sure that the coaches at some point are going to sit down in springtime and be like, yo, what is the best strategy going forward to build up our roster? It's just kind of like the allocation of roster numbers. How important is kind of the foundation of recruiting? Has recruiting really changed? We're saying it has, right? And and how important is the transfer portal? I think the most challenging thing for probably someone like Courtney Morgan, who does roster management, you can't necessarily forecast who's going to leave and who's going to come back. It's nearly impossible, right? Because a lot of that depends on how the player fared that season. If the player was unhappy, what if the player was poached? Imagine doing, what? Roster management is probably maddening in college football to figure out. We'll have to count up the numbers, but I think it's over 40 new names that are on the roster this year. 40, right? And I get it. They can take up to 105, players. That's a significant, it's almost half your team. I don't know. I'm leaning towards that 2027, 2028 isn't as important anymore, but I definitely could be wrong. I want to think about this and kind of hear your guys' take going forward on kind of building the roster. It's super interesting to me. All right, let's do Tom from Bama.
Hey, Kyle. Good morning from Atmore.
Hey.
Roll Tide. And looking at the landscape of college football, it's definitely changed the way that they recruit kids now. I think as far as the wants and the needs, part of the transfer portal is actually more important than recruiting high school kids.
Yeah.
You get an immediate fix,
Yeah.
As far as a fit factor. But again, just because they're big, just because they've got size, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to buy into your scheme.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem we ran into at Bama. I hate to say it, but even under Saban, I believe that's what drove Saban out the door, is we fell short of the championship. And the first thing when he did his exit interview with the players is they wanted to know how much they were going to get paid and how much they were going to play the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what turned Saban off, because Saban was never about the money. Saban was about developing the young men both on the field and off the field. He wanted to build character, And I'm sorry, if your priority is cash, you're never going to buy in. You're not going to convince me otherwise. I mean, if your priority is development, then you're not worried about cash. Look at Ty Simpson. He was offered all kind of cash, and he was poached, potentially to transfer from Bama, but he decided to stay, and he got his opportunity, and he made the most of it. Sadly, the rest of the team did not play at that same standard. You know, there were some individuals that had breakout years and a breakout season, but overall, I just feel like the total team buy-in was not there. A lot of people thought, well, I'm a 5-star, I'm recruited, I should be playing, I should be starting. It doesn't matter, I'm going to the league anyway. You know, how are you going to motivate a guy like that? You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem Saban ran into. And DeBoer, they, from my friends that are, you know, alumni that know him, that are around the program, they tell me that DeBoer is 100% a player's coach. They said the kids love him, you know? And I think, if you look at it, from what I've been told, that he spent his recruiting money on retaining the ones that he recruited. To my knowledge, we lost one that he actually recruited, and I believe that was DeBose, who was chasing a bag in playing time. He didn't want to wait. He wanted to make his impact immediately, and he saw an opportunity to get paid while doing it. You can't fault the kid if that's his priority, but that's not the priority at Alabama. We need to recruit kids that are going to hit the fit factor, that are willing to wait and be developed, because we've always heard, and you see, iron sharpens iron. If you go back and look at Signetti, he took Saban's plan and put it to work. He's a great talent evaluator. He went out and found not the guys everybody else was looking for. He looked for fifth-year seniors. He looked for people that would fit his system, that were willing to buy in. And guess what? Payday. You know, I believe DeBoer is our best long-term coach for Bama. I don't think he's on the hot seat this year, regardless if we do have a subpar season, which I don't. I see us going 10-2 at the very worst. Like you said, the first 5 out the gate, I don't want to call them give-me's, but barring catastrophe, we should be 5-0, you know. I think it's going to be key to play the young guys early, you know. That offensive line, we have a lot of promise. We have a lot of big guys, but we have a lot of youth that's returning, too, that's ready to step up for their moment, you know. So I see the first 5 games as an opportunity to really get a lot of playing time with a lot of different combinations of an offensive line. But I think the fact that we recruited so many tight ends, there's a shift in focus. The running game will return in 2026. You will see I'm excited about Crowell. I don't know about anybody else, but I see many paths to him. I'm not going to say he starts, but by the end of the year, I think he's the man. I mean, I could be way off, but I definitely see him getting significant playing time, but I think he will be the guy. We have Hill showed some promise, but again, we did not open holes. If you go back and look at Bama of old, 2009 up to about 2018, when Joe Pendry was there as offensive line coach, we opened holes. It was pick your hole. And I hate to say it, but everybody knows Trent Richardson didn't make it in the pros because he didn't have vision. What he did have is if he hit the hole, he was gone. He had unmatched athletic ability, but he struggled when he got to the pros because he couldn't hit the hole. He would hit the wrong hole. It would be wide open on one side, and he'd go to the part that's stacked. The linebacker went in to tackle him, you know. Again, I don't think Hill benefited from that. Richard Young, I don't think benefited from that. Deere didn't benefit from that. If you look, the only player that we had that gave us some promise, and he was hit and miss this year, was Jam Miller. He was our only outside threat to get to the outside. If you look at the Auburn game, if he would have played like that all year, you cannot tell me he would not have run for 1,000 yards, you know? I think it's going to be a mental reset with the team. I think it starts with the coaches. I know as fans, we were disappointed and we're screaming for coaching changes, but, you know, the fans have to sit back and realize we hired him because he's a proven winner. He's a proven coach. We have to trust him in his process. I said the other day, it takes really 5 years. You got to give a coach 5 years these days to fully implement everything that he planned on doing, because you might have 1 or 2 years where he misevaluated somebody or somebody's priorities changed along the way. Okay, that can affect somebody bigly. When you're talking about 11 men on a roster and your center doesn't buy in or your left tackle doesn't buy in, they're critical key positions. I think the fact that he talked Keelan Russell and Mack into coming back, to me, that's the biggest win for next year. And he did it, and and I know he's sitting there watching these kids transfer out left and right. And he's thinking, well, good God, who's going to be in front of me protecting me? Am I better to go get a bag and do somewhere else? But they believed in DeBoer, and I think we should too.
Good call, Tom. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for your service, by the way. Appreciate it. Good call. Thanks for calling in. A lot of points I agree with, man.
Kyle.
All right, man. Take it easy. I think the only point that I disagree with from Tom calling in is probably like the 5-year mark, right? That seems a little bit long. I get it. It's like you do have 5 years, to get everything established. I just think 5 years seems like an eternity, right? But other than everything else, I mean, he was absolutely right. I mean, he was cooking. I mean, he had a lot of really great points, I think, on the tight end usage and he's predicting that the running game does come back. Talking to the quarterbacks into coming back, I thought was a brilliant point as well. DeBoer is a proven winner for sure. And then I think on top of that, I was going to also back him up on this, is the addition of Courtney Morgan in terms of roster management and being really the first true GM that has kind of now everybody has a GM, but I think Alabama, DeBoer, one of the first ones to have a GM, right? And those two and building roster, and now you kind of just, it is crazy. Like Jarvis said inside the comm box, that all Saban's guys are pretty much gone. This is DeBoer's team. Wow. Interesting to think about. Hey, family, thanks for watching Wake Up Bama today. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you live at 10 right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thanks for watching.